Welcome to the Life in Lawn Care podcast. We're your host, Jesse James. Interviews industry leaders all the way down to new business startups, also sharing stories of his own to help you with information, inspiration, all motivate you with your life in lawn care. Now, let's get into the show. Here's Jesse James.
Oh, I got my son right here growing all over. Kayla, will you please grab him real quick? Boy, that was. I want to say thank you to Mike Gunn for always being helpful and recording that for us. And today on the show we got a countryside. Is it not vlogs? It was Lawns is your business and Countryside Vlogs is your channel then, right?
That's right. Countryside Lawns the business, and Countryside Vlogs is on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, you've been in it for a minute. Like I was telling you backstage, it's like I went back. Like I was just telling you, like I've only been in business about 2 years somewhere, and I immediately started on the YouTube just to kind of have fun with it. But from the looks of it, because I went back about 8 years ago. You've had a YouTube channel for a long time, and you had already had. You had John Deere with the nice bagger, the rider system, and Toro Pro line, all kinds of Skag walk behind. I love them Skag walk behinds. I got one I'm rebuilding right now, and we'll get into that later. So, like, how long you been in business, and what's your whole deal?
Well, this is my 7th year in business. So my 7th season, I've been, as far as doing lawn care and doing landscaping, over 20 years. I've worked for a number of different companies, but and even have, I've gone everything from regular lawn maintenance, lawn service, to I worked for a company where all we did was install Unilock. We did, when it was like in its infancy, nobody really even knew what it was, but we did driveways, patios, we built walls where we installed grills, fire pits, waterfalls, just lots of hard landscaping.
So you did that for how many years? You say you did that for?
For a couple of other companies over 20 years. So,
wow.
And a lot of some of it
stuff.
What's that?
Always the outdoor green industry-esque.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did a lot of other stuff in between. Like a lot of people know my history with the armored trucks and the firearms instructor. But, before that, and even while I was doing that, I'd work part-time on the side for these other companies. When I did the Unilock and stuff, that was full-time for about 9 years. But about 7 years ago is when I went off on my own and started my own thing. And I do a little bit of landscaping, but once I downsized my company, and fired all the guys that worked for me and went back to being solo, I got rid of all the landscaping, and I just got back into doing some landscaping this year.
So when you was working for someone else and doing your own thing at about 8 years ago, and you said, hey, I want to break off, I want to run my own business. At what point did you decide, I know my level, I know what I'm worth, I know my skill level, but have the courage to actually make that jump? Because it's easy to do it on the side, but to go full time in it, it's not an easy move to make at all.
No, not by any means. And I actually, I've listened to a lot of other people's stories, and I've talked to a lot of other people, and I actually had it kind of lucky in some aspect, is that when I was working for an armored truck company, I dropped down to part-time when I started my business. And so I still had that. And so I did that for about the first 2.5 years of my business. And then what I did was I left that job. I was there for 11 years, and I left that job and decided to go full bore with my business. But the biggest thing were the benefits. And that was why I hung on to that job. But then I had the opportunity to where I could put myself and the kids on my wife's medical, things like that. And so that made the biggest difference. That was why I kept that, because, a lot of guys know, we discussed this on the interview I did with Ben, but I was married before. And so I have 2 kids from that marriage. So I had to make sure that I had them covered for medical and the other things that I just couldn't provide right off the bat with a new lawn care company. So when I got remarried, my wife had all that, and I was able to put myself in them on that. So that's when I made the jump and said, okay, enough's enough. But I had wanted to do it before that, because right when I got into lawn care, my business blew up relatively quick. I don't live in a big metropolitan city, nothing like that. It's all small towns, but they're real close connected, and word of mouth travels fast. It's the old rule: you do something great, and 10 people will talk about it. You do something bad, and 100 people in this town will talk about it. So the biggest thing for me was all I had to do is do what everybody in my area wasn't doing, which was show up and do what I said I'm going to do. And that just seems to be a big problem. There's a lot of great lawn care companies in my area, but there's even more bad ones. So that's all I had to do. And it went big. And then I got the Lawn Care Service of the Year award from my local business association, and they advertised it for me, and it blew up from there. So I'd say within my first year and a half, just under 2 years, it was just before the end of my second season mowing. I plow in the wintertime, but just before the end of my second season in mowing, I was at 124 weekly lawn care accounts.
Gosh, so did you obviously live in like I live in a pretty small area too. That's why I like a lot of your videos, because I look at you and I was like, I look at your platform, what you're doing, and I see a lot of myself in it, because I do my own maintenance. And just today, my 20 horsepower Kohler Command has a lot of blowback. Like, I'm gonna have to redo all the seals, all the valves, all the rings, everything. I'm getting a rebuild kit for it now. And a buddy of mine, which is similar to a buddy of yours, that's also a mechanic. It's just the progression that you do it. I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can follow this guy. I know he plow with a half ton, I plow with a half ton. Is you relate to the common guy, which is awesome, because you've been in business for so long. That's a great thing. When you were talking about, you said you're driving around in the armored trucks. I'm thinking, I seen one the other day on the interstate, and I was like, I'm just gonna follow this dude around. The chances is like a 2% chance that if he wrecks and that money goes everywhere. Hey, I bet you had some crazy stories about people trying to either mess with you, or just all around joking around with you as you were being the money man.
Oh yeah. I mean, it happened a lot. I've had a couple incidents over the years. There wasn't always good times. So I mean, there were a couple times where we had gotten messed with, and they had gotten pretty serious. But as far as the joking goes, all the time, Halloween was the absolute worst holiday to work, because everybody's always in masks, and they come walking by you, and they'll say stuff to you. And holidays are absolutely horrible. Like, my driver would drop me off at one end of a mall. Like, on my route, I used to run from Buffalo to Jamestown, New York, to Erie, Pennsylvania, and back every day. And so I would do this big mall in Erie, PA called the Mill Creek Mall, and I had 38 stores inside that mall I would have to deliver and pick money up to. So he'd drop me off at one end, pick me up at the other end, and I'd be on constant radio communication with him and my dispatch in and out of every stop. So in the holidays, people walk right by you. Now they'll see I'm in full uniform, bulletproof vest. I got my gun on my side, my extra mags right in the front, my cuffs, my taser. You see everything right there. People walk right by you and bump into you, and they look at you and say, "Get out of my way." And that's just how they would talk to you. They didn't care, nothing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd definitely be rough. That's not now. That's a cop, pretty much. Right?
Well, it was more of a federal level than anything. So, like, all the money we had was federally insured. Everything we did was on a federal level. So, I mean, it was more like armored truck companies or private organizations. So,
right. Yeah. And you were saying that you went down part-time, which is like you had, like you said, you had a blessing. You was able to go part-time, move into having your wife's being on her medical and the benefits, because I think benefits hold a lot of people up. And that's why I push a lot of younger people just getting into it. It's like, you don't, like, when you watch a lot of these different channels, because everybody watches YouTube for everything. Cable's dead. But like,
oh yeah,
the message just seems like just immediately jump into it is what it's almost being pushed. But I just released a video the other day saying maybe find a part-time job just to kind of, because it's hard. Like, I've had a rough, I thought I was going to take over the world. Right. And my area that I live in, the household median income is like about 42,000 a year. So like, lawn and landscape is a luxury. People say it's whatever. But around here, it's luxury. Like, if someone's coming to cutting your grass, you got extra money. I didn't add any of that up. I just started making money, and I immediately made that jump. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
My point is, you got to be a little bit crazy with your background already being kind of what, even to be a guy carrying around money, you're kind of already nuts anyway. So to, to make that jump and be in your own business, that's pretty, it's a crazy move to make with kids. Like, people give me a hard time because I had a young child when I quit my job. I'm making $20 an hour, which ain't very much, but like, that's a really around here. I was doing big things, you know, and I made
Right.
the jump. People try to. So my long-winded question is, like, when you got people in your family or maybe like in-laws who, how do you deflect people saying like, get a real job, and they don't see the vision that you have as you're building an empire, but it takes time? How do you deflect against that? What would you be some advice on that?
Well, I guess the best thing I could do is just give advice on this because I really didn't experience that too much. I've always had a pretty strong network of people near me because, and people comment on my videos all the time to this effect, and they say it that they're just like, man, you can tell. And the people that have watched my videos and I've hung out with, like at GIE, I've hung out with so many people there. I've gone out to dinner with so many people there, other YouTubers, and guys from companies like Skag and Walker and Ferris, like all these manufacturers, and they all say the same thing. They're like, what you see in your video is you in person. There's no difference. And they're like, that's why people watch you, because you call a cow a cow. It is what it is. And I guess the best way I can put this off without saying it is I never intentionally mean to hurt anybody or to insult anybody, but I'm going to call out crap when I see it. And I'm the type of person that once something is set in my head, I'm going to do it. And if you tell me I can't do it, it's going to make me strive for it that much more just to prove somebody wrong. So I guess my whole social network, my family, my friends, everybody knows that's how they know if they try to discourage me or tell me that I can't do it, they know I'm just going to cut them right out of my life. Like whether it's friends, family, no matter what it is, I can shut the lights out on somebody like it's a split second decision. And that's how I've always been. I'm always the one to try to encourage people and to boost people up. But if you try to alter me from what I'm doing, or if you try to get in my way, I'm
Right.
a firm believer there's only two reasons you will do anything in your life. And that's either somebody is forcing you or somebody is trying to help you. That's the only two ways you're going to do it. So, if you come up to me, you're either going to, if you want something from me, like say you're trying to rob me, you're either going to gently try to convince me or con me to give it to you, or you're going to try to force it from me. So, my friends and my family all know that, don't stand in my way. Either be quiet about it or say something positive and encourage me.
Right.
So that's just the type of people I've surrounded myself with. I've had a lot of negative people that have come my way in my life, just like anybody else has, but I quickly push them to the side and I quickly shut them right out. So I really don't. But I see that a lot. And I've talked to a lot of guys that said, man, I tried so hard and everybody kept telling me, no, I can't do it. Or no, you're just wasting time. How are you going to feed your kids and this and that? And they said they felt very discouraged, but they just stuck to it. And in the end, they're glad that they did.
Yeah. That's
You
similar
know,
to whenever I got started, because I was in a leadership position making like, it was like $19. It was like almost $20 an hour, man. And I started mowing some lawns with a buddy of mine, Connor, who we're back in business together now. And once I made $100 in a day in like 2 hours, I'm like, I seen something that other people didn't see. And I was like, if you
right.
multiply this by whatever, you can
Mm-hmm.
easily, yeah, but other people. So for anybody out there that does feel like people saying, it's a kid's job or get a real job, man, just understand what you're building. And just like what Randy's saying is just distance yourself from that kind of negative mindset. That's something that they don't understand, that you're building your own empire. And what I want to go into as well, you said in your first year, you had about 127 lawns. That's a lot. That's a whole.
Right at the end, just before the end of my second year.
So now that you're a little more experienced in business, what do you think of volume versus more high ticket, like boutique service? Like, You understand my question?
Right. Yep. I understand what you're saying. And I'll tell you right off the bat that I screwed up. And Brian Shane, Brian from Top Notch, him and I have talked about this many times. And I made the decision before he did. And just before he made that decision, he would call me and we talked a number of different times. And what it came down to was I grew too big too fast. I didn't have what I would say principles and procedures, SOPs. You worked in a factory. I remember you saying that before. I didn't have any standard operating procedures in place. All I knew was people were wanting to throw their money at me and I wanted to take it. And that's all I knew. So I would hire anybody and anybody I could find. I went through guys like you wouldn't believe. I hired and fired my own brother. It just things it was crazy. It was to the point where I was chasing that dollar, but I would never admit to myself I was chasing that dollar. So, I mean, money was just coming in. I couldn't even keep up with it fast enough. Sometimes I was a week, 2 weeks on late doing my billing. Like when you messaged me earlier and said you're just getting done work, and I said, yeah, I'm just getting done with my invoicing. And I still do that a little bit late now. I mean, I'm only a couple days behind right now, but I would get a week, 2 weeks. I'd have customers calling me or texting me saying, you never sent me an invoice. That's how bad it was. And it got to the point where, like I told you, I blew up with all them customers because of the customer reviews that I was getting at the local business association. That's how I got that award, because the only way you can get it is you have to have a number of people calling into them saying good things about you. Excuse me. And that's how you get it. So I'd have them calling up and saying, because I ran 2 trucks 5 days a week. I started running, and when it got to that point, each truck was responsible for over 60 lawns a week themselves. Yeah. So what it was, and then it went up from there. The one truck was doing over 80 lawns a week by themselves. So what it was is that customers would call me up and say, your guys mowed the front, the right, and the back, but they didn't mow the left-hand side. And I'd call them and say, why didn't you mow the left? Oh, it didn't look like you needed it. I'm like, you couldn't have drove across it a couple times? Or they'd call me up and say, they mowed, it looks excellent, everything looks great, but they didn't weed whack anything. And it got to the point where my wife was like, you are more stressed now than you've ever been. I was a glorified babysitter is what I'd become. And so the only procedures that I had in place were I absolutely refused to leave grass laying on somebody's lawn. I don't care if you have to double cut it or bag it, get it off the lawn. If you're paying for a service, it should look like you're paying for a service. I'm a firm believer in that. So that was about my basic procedure. My other one was, I don't care who smokes. I don't care if you smoke in my trucks, whatever. Don't smoke on a customer's property. Really anal about that. It looks unprofessional. I don't like it. So I tell them not to do that. And the only other thing was, don't be swearing, cussing, being loud, obnoxious on a customer's property. So that's pretty much the only procedures I had in place. I didn't have any way of like, okay, there's 2 guys in the truck, you're both accountable for each other. Check what the other one's doing when you get done. If one's mowing, the other one's trimming, the guy that's mowing, as you're making your final pass and coming back around to the front of the house or whatever, just glance over at the house, make sure you didn't miss nothing weed whacking. Like I didn't have anything in place, and I was just pushing guys out the door. And the one truck, brand new mower, 26 days old, and they popped the motor on it because apparently $15 an hour wasn't enough to pull a dipstick and check the oil. It had an oil leak from the factory, so it wasn't. It was warranted, and it wasn't a big deal, and I got it fixed. But it was just basic stuff like that, and it was just ridiculous. And finally, I was down at 3 full-time guys and 2 part-time guys. The 2 part-time guys weren't coming back. One of the full-time guys I fired. The other one was going away to college in Florida, which he's now a pilot. He flies for a couple millionaires. He flies a private jet. He goes all over the world with his fiance. He's living the life. And the other guy, he was trying to get this job in a factory that he really wanted, and actually hired him on as a supervisor, and he transferred from here to Texas. So it all just kind of worked out, and everybody's kind of went their own way, and I said, I'm done. I gave away a ton of lawns, and I kept about 60 lawns that I could maintain myself.
How long of a time frame was it from where the first year blew up, but when people started leaving and doing their own thing, was that about 2-3 years or something?
4 years in. I was 4 years in.
So it was a hectic, crazy 4 years.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I was running every which way. I was tearing my hair out, but I was at a point in my life where, I just it did nothing merit. I could, if I went and saw on Craigslist, because I mean everybody knows my history. I have a bad addiction with mowers, so everybody knows that how I flop mowers back and forth. I'd look on Craigslist and be like, "That's a nice mower." Oh, a guy only wants 6 grand. I call him up. I'll bring you 6 grand cash right now. If everything checks out and I like when I get there, I'll bring you 6 grand cash. And I never thought about it. Not even a second guess. I just go pull the money out and just go buy it. And it was no big deal. And I had never been able to do that before. Like I lived most of my life. I wouldn't say necessarily living paycheck to paycheck, and I did because I definitely had some insanely poor times in my life. So I've definitely been at the bottom of the barrel more than once, and I've never been able to just do that. It's always been like, I got $60 till payday. How much do I put in my gas tank? You know what I mean? We've all been there. And so to just go and pull like that, when I had problems with the Toro and thought I blew the motor up on the Toro grandstand in the beginning of the season, I was like, well, what do? I don't have time for this machine to be down. I called the dealer and said, this is the Skag V-Ride 2 I want. This is the engine I want on it. This is the deck size. When can you get it? He goes, you want to know how much it is? I said, nope. When can you get it? He said, there's one in New Jersey. I can have it in 3 days. I said, order it. I went in the next morning and I paid him $8,500 cash. I paid for it. I'm like, here you go. Done. I'm like, call me as soon as it gets here. Like, I literally need it the second it gets here. And it was there by like noon on Friday, 2 days later, or whatever it was. He ended up getting it in. I went there, got it, and I was mowing with it Friday afternoon. But there's no way I'd ever been able to do that before now. When I fired all employees, or they all kind of went their own way for the most part, and I gave away all those lawns, people were like, it's back to flip side of that coin where people say, don't be this, or you can't do this, go get a real job. Well, when I was getting rid of all those lawns, everyone's like, are you crazy? You're going to go out of business. You're not going to be able to afford to live the lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to and this and that. But the fact of the matter is I bill out less, but I always have more in the bank. I'm not paying for repairs on mowers that these guys have done to it and didn't tell me about until it finally broke 3 other things on the mower. I'm not paying for damage to customers' property. It's just
how hard was it training new guys how to run walk behinds? Because I remember the first time I was on a walk behind, I did good my very first lawn. Next lawn had a fence and a little hill, and like my little sulky, single wheel sulky, just like hit like a bump or something, and I got kind of scared. Like safeties on the top were disconnected, and like my hand slipped, and it boom right through a fence. And like luckily I knew everybody real good, and I just fixed the fence, no big deal. But like it scared me to death, and I'm always thinking like, if I haven't, like the guys that I do pick up, the guys I pick up for the pay cash guys and just help weed eat and stuff, they're not touching them over. I got one guy right now is always like, hey man, when you gonna? I'm like, I pay you to weed eat, man. I'm being straight up with you. I pay you to weed eat. That's it. And like, I know how it was, but I didn't grow up in it. So I bet you've had some stories training guys on them walk behinds.
Oh yeah, and for a while, and you can see in my earlier videos, that's all I had was walk behinds. I had the Skag, I had a couple different Ferris walk behinds. I had the Bunton, that green one, and man, when I got that Bunton, I thought I was king of the hill. I thought I was the best out there. I mean, it was a used mower, and the thing was like 10 years old, but it literally had 120 hours on it. Like they never used it. And it was like covered in dust, and I washed out. Thing was like brand new. We had the manuals, everything, and I got it so cheap. But it was a company that blew up, and they went and bought like 15 right standers in one shot because they blew up all his commercial property. So he, in like his first year in business, he just dumb luck, right place, right time, and he fell on all these accounts. So he had 2 of those Buttons, and I bought one off him. But so it worked out great. But anyways, the walk behinds. The first time I rode one, it was back when I worked for one of those other companies, and he had a sit down Ferris 0 turn, and that's all I ever rode, and it broke down, and he goes, you're going to have to use the walk behind. Man, I hopped on that thing and I thought, I can handle this. I can rock this thing. And I did good until I went to turn. I thought I broke both my ankles. It was a single wheel bumpy. Man, I thought I'd bust them right up. But I watched it. the guys that I trained on them, I was kind of lucky. Most of the guys that worked for me had some kind of lawn care experience, but the funny thing is they all knew how to run zero turns. So one guy that worked for me, actually, he worked for a company and all they ran were walkers. And walkers are a very, very rare thing around. I'm probably the only company within 20 miles of my house that run walkers. So, but he worked for a company that was like a half hour, 45 minutes away. And that's all they ran was walkers. So he actually had experience on those. But I couldn't believe all the different guys, and I'd probably gone through 20 different employees in that 4 years. I can't believe, there was like maybe 2 of them that have ever run a walk behind before. Nobody had run a walk behind. They knew how to run zero turns. They knew how to run standers. Nobody knew how to run walk behind. So putting them on it was pretty comical. And when they would get away from them, they would just try holding on. And I always thought that somebody was end up getting dragged, and it never happened, but just watching it go crazy and the look on their faces. Back then, I wish I was more into recording as much as I am now. And that probably would have been a viral video for me if I'd gotten some of their faces and made like a montage of all of them. It was priceless.
It's dangerous. Them walk behinds are no joke. Like whenever, like when I first started, but like everybody on here knows my background and stuff, but I didn't grow up in that kind of environment to where I had a positive male role figure and equipment and stuff like that. So when my buddy Connor, he was teaching me how to drive a zero turn, and I thought that was kind of hard at first. I'm all over shaking all over.
Oh yeah.
When I got on this walk behind, it was like I told you, I went through a fence, but like my arms and my forearms, everything just hurt so bad. And the thing is, I saved up throughout the winter so I can get this Skag walk behind. It's a beautiful 48-inch with the Advantage, a beautiful mower. And I saved up, and I had it. It was all extra money. Boom. I was so happy to have it. And I sat there, and I was like, once I learned how to ride it, I was like, I was so terrified. And I'd watch these videos of them getting away from people, and they're going in circles. And when you said thought your ankles broke, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't see too many walk behinds ever around anymore.
There's one guy or 2 guys in my area that run them, and you don't see them much anymore either. And I'll tell you what the biggest downfall of walk behinds, and I think the biggest reason why nobody runs them is because people always ran them for 2 reasons. And one, they could handle hills. You could do steep embankments with them. And 2, they were cheap. So, and even though they're pricey, you get a 52-inch walk behind or 61, you're still looking at $5-6 grand nowadays, but that's relatively cheap compared to everything else out on the market. Now, the thing is I'd still have at least one in my fleet. I love running them. I feel like you kind of do tricks on them, and I used to screw around on them all the time. So I would still have one, but their biggest downfall is their speed. Everybody wants something fast nowadays. So you can, and standard's the hot thing. That's where it's at. Everybody's making a standard. So everybody wants a standard now. Some guys are still sitting on the sit down zero turns, and some guys have, one of each, both, whatever. But there's so many standards out there now that can handle hills. Like I've showed in my videos a number of times. Everybody knows, everyone that's been watching for a period of time, they know the hill. Right. There's this one hill, and it's this really, really steep. Like one of these days, I'm going to remember, and I'm actually going to I have a gauge. I'm going to put my gauge on it to see the exact angle of it, and I'll put the camera up and film it. But it's steep. When you're walking, it's kind of like you're walking 3 and 4 embankments at Daytona 500, which is a 30-degree angle. Like you have to, you lean forward when you walk up that thing if you've ever been there. But it's really steep. So I finally, this year, for some reason, I'm like, you know what? I'm running this hill. I'm going to try mowing it horizontal back and forth with the V-Ride 2. And I did. And I slid a little bit, but I held it. So I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm like, this is a new thing. I'm not push mowing this hill anymore. So then I did it with the Toro Grandstand, and that did it. And it was funny. I made a video this past Wednesday. And toward the end of the video, I said, and I go, oh, there's my wife texting me. She just said, you better not be mowing that hill in this rain. And but she doesn't like when I mow it even when it's dry. But the point I'm getting at is standers can now hold these hills, and unless it's an insanely steep hill, which most guys are like not even taking properties like that anyway. They're like, they see that and they know it's insanely steep to where they have to have a walk behind. Like, screw it, I don't want that property. But your average hill now, the standers can run up and down them all day, and guys know if it gets crazy, they can jump off that thing. You can bail off a stander like nothing. So that people aren't running the walk behinds anymore.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I got a pretty steep hill at a school that I do, and when my walk behind went down, I was so disappointed, just and because I knew I was have to weed eat. Well, it's either push mower or weed eat, and weed eating to me was
Right.
makes more sense. And I just, for some reason, I just never fixed. It's still sitting in my shop today. I never got it fixed. What do you think of the new crave of the stand-ons like everybody's doing? Do you think it's almost a gimmick? Because I like to sit down. Like I do big cemeteries and bigger properties, but I also do small residentials. Do you think that the stand-on's going to take over? Are they that much better?
Oh yeah, and I think they already have. And
Yeah,
the thing is, you know, I was the same way for a long time. I was always on sit down zero turns. I thought, you know, that's just where it was at for me. And you're going to be on a big property. And Johnny Moe, actually, you know, him and I have talked many times on the phone, and I've watched in his videos. He's even said, and he said it to me on the phone a number of times. And he's like, Randy, seriously, he goes, when you get home from working all day, what do you want to do? Stay in there in the living room or sit down on the couch? He goes, you don't. He goes, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And now he owns one, but it's not his main primary mower, but he owns a stander. So I think, and I thought the same way at first. I'm like, man, my legs will be so tired, my back will be beat from hopping them down. Because I remember all the years of running walk behinds.
right.
And one of the reasons that I got away from walk behinds, it wasn't even so much their speed, it was more that my knees were just taking a beating and my lower back, and I just, you know, it was really beating me up. And all the old walk behinds I ever owned were all the old pistol grip style where you hold like this. Now they're all up top like this, you know what I
I
mean?
never use them.
Oh yeah, you can still get the old style with the pistol grips where you hold down like this, you know, and your hands are just killing you, especially in the spring. First couple weeks of mowing, you're like, oh man. But it was, you know, I had to get away from them because it was just beating me up on my, you know, my lower back and my knees. And so the first thing I was thinking was, why am I going to get on a stander and I'll still be standing? I'm going to have the same problem. Well, I borrowed one off a buddy of mine. I'm like, I'm just going to ride around. Well, I fell in love with it. As soon as I rode it, I'm like, yeah, this is me. I got to have one of these. And they were so much funner to ride. You could duck down under trees like you can on a regular stand or on a regular walk behind. They're so nimble and they're so compact. You can fit them in and out of areas. You're not getting a full size zero turn. You can see everything like in all directions. You can see all the way around you. And another big thing, and I'll tell you, you know, a lot of guys don't admit this stuff on YouTube because they want to be like, oh, I got the perfect business, or I do things the right way. You should do what I do. You know the whole story. But I'll be the first to tell you, on a commercial property, I'm cruising along and I see a little empty cigarette pack there. I'm running that shit over. Excuse my language. I'm running it over. You know what I mean? Because I was on a sit down and to stop and to get up off it and then to sit back down. You're on a stander. You swing up, you hop, jump off, you grab it, throw it on. Or if you're like Sean in Savannah, you know, they have the grabbers in all their garbage cans. It's genius. They just pull up, they reach down and grab it in, and they keep on going.
I went and got a little from the dollar store for like $2. I got like a little grabber thing. First day, and left it on the seat of the mower, left it on the mower thing, went underneath, mowed half of it over. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm done with this nonsense.
I'll tell you, the best ones I ever bought, and I made a video about it. They're silver with black handles from Harbor Freight. They're like $9 a piece. The only thing is the little black rubber cups come off them all the time. There's just a screw that goes through, and the screw comes off, and the cups fall off, and when they do, they're useless. Right. So I made a video about them one time, and I was like, see, you buy these here, and I pulled it right out of the box, and I said, this is what you do, and I flipped it up, and I put a dab of super glue on that screw. I flipped over, a dab of super glue on that screw, and I said, these will last. And I've been using the same two for the last 3 years doing spring cleanups because I got to that point where I said, I'm tired of leaning over and picking up sticks. And so I just walk along with one of those green tote bags. I've showed many of my videos. They're the demolition bags. Right. You could get them for $30 a pop at Home Depot, and they last for years. But I drag that thing around, and I pick up sticks with the grabber, and they work good. And as a matter of fact, Monday is my birthday. I'm going to be 42 years old, and my back is wrenched from all this stupid crap I've done in my life, and maybe still continue to do to this day. But you know, you got to find easier ways to do stuff. But the stander, yeah, it's like I said, they're so compact nowadays, and you can get them in and out of places you're just not getting full size. Like I would love to go out tomorrow and buy a brand new Cheetah. I want a Cheetah so bad. I want that big block EFI on it with a 61-inch deck. I want one. I'm biting at the heels, and but it's just that for big, if you have a lot of big, wide open area you're mowing, it's great. But for everyday properties, I'd rather be on a stander all day. You can get them in and out of places. They're so quick, they're so snappy, and you can just see everything all the way around you. I have hit far less crap being on a stander. I have torn some blades off some sit-down zero turns. You think that you're sitting there and your feet are in front of you and you can see out, but you can see out in front of you, but you can't see down.
Right.
And especially in the spring, you're cutting that tall, thick grass. There could be rocks, there could be any little thing in there. You can't see it, but on a stander, you can literally see right down through the grass.
Yeah,
like you can see everything.
I don't have one, but I did recently come across a really good deal on some two grasshoppers, 618. I know you're an out front. You do a lot.
I saw the post you made of them.
Dude, and $500. Like I did some work on it. The one was in really, really good condition, and the other one was like, nah, not really, whatever. But it's running now, and just had to do a little work to them. And for what I do at a cemetery, I've realized that, man, like these out front mowers, and you've been doing an out front mowing for a long time. And a lot of people knock the out front mowing or like the grasshopper line. I've never used the walker line. I played with them at the GIE, but what do you think? What do you think the future is with the standards coming in as popular as they are and how compact, like you're saying? Do you think that's going to take away a lot of the out front mowing, or do you think the people that use the front deck mowers are kind of like a niche all in itself?
Well, yeah, I don't know many people that use Grasshopper. I've watched a lot of videos on them because I've always been interested. There used to be this channel, and it was a pretty big channel. It was on YouTube for a long time, and it was called Stew Care. And they own a big company in Ohio, and they do mostly college universities, high schools, huge commercials. I don't think they do any residential at all. And they have like 15 of those grasshoppers, and they're 100% dedicated to them. So I used to watch a lot of their stuff, and there used to be a lawn care channel, great channel. It's called Romero Lawn Care, not the Romero Lawn Care channel you see now. He was around, and then he had some issues going on in his life, and he stopped making videos. And then he came back. He was back for a year, made some, and then he went away again. And then this other channel popped up, and I thought it was him. And I actually called him. I'm like, somebody started a channel under your name, and he says, yeah, I know. I'm not worried about it. But anyway, the guy that had the first channel, his name was Rene Romero, and a Mexican guy. He's super cool, and it's all he ran was grasshoppers. And he went in full detail about them, and they're really cool. So they spiked my interest for a long time. But I've always said that, and I've mentioned it. I mean, I have a pretty tight relationship with Walker and all the guys from Walker. So, I mentioned to him, I'm like, man, with the design and the whole thing that you're known for, like the Walker decks, how they literally follow the contour of the ground. Like a lot of people say they're for, manicured, perfect lawns. That couldn't be further from the truth. They're made for the screwed up and down, hilly, bumpy yards because they follow the contour. So, they're known for that. And I don't know how they would ever make a stander and still be able to utilize that feature of that free floating deck like that. But I've said to him before, I'm like, man, if you guys don't pop out a stander, you're going to get left behind. But the Walker community is probably the tightest community I have ever seen out of any mower manufacturer brand, to the point where some of these guys have mental issues. They're like, you get on those Walker forums, and I think I'm only on like one of them. And there's probably 20 different ones, but I stay away from the one I'm on. I don't even comment or post on. Like, those guys get downright nasty if you even think of having a different mower in your fleet than Walker. It's almost like a cult. It really is. And I don't know. Some of the guys are really, really cool, but a lot of those guys. So I don't think Walker's ever going to go away. I think that out front mowing and with Walkers, I think they're here to stay for quite a long time. But Walker actually only holds like 4% of the commercial market. And I don't think they've ever been above 5, ever.
Everybody knows who they are. They're they're definitely they're huge. I like Walker mowers a lot, and I bought a grass. This is the third grasshopper now, and they just keep coming up with deals. I just keep finding them, and but I got to replace, like I tell you, that 20 horsepower Kohler Command. I'm going to end up rebuilding, which I'm really excited about. Like normal people probably get really down when they blow an engine up, but this one's like I've never got to do this. So Connor's like, oh yeah, order the rebuild kit and I'll show you how it's done. Like I'm so looking forward to like fall season being over and just sitting in that garage all day long. I'm looking forward to losing stuff. I love rebuilding engines, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, the Grasshopper line is like a lot different, and they're kind of like they're showing me a lot of love on Instagram all of a sudden, and I'm just posting like normal. So they seem a lot different. I don't see very many people rolling with Grasshopper at all. Like what you said, I was sitting here trying to jog my memory of seeing other brands. I think there's one guy, All About Lawns. He runs Grasshopper, but I felt so cool the other day. You mentioned Fleet. I felt so cool having like just because my trailer's 16-foot trailer, and I turned one mower sideways, and I took the deck, or I didn't take a turn sideways. I took the deck sideways and took the front of the deck off, and I had 3 Grasshoppers on my trailer. And like just rolling down the street, not looking like here's a next mark, here's a whatever, and this is another different mower. Having all 3 on there, whether they all ran or not. No one else knew that when I'm rolling by. It looked great. Right. I felt awesome, man. I felt it felt to have a fleet. It's just all coming together. You mentioned just being able to have money to. I've never been able to have money to do anything. But the other day I just went and bought, and I'm not bragging on well, fuck off. But yeah, I am kind of bragging on myself a little bit because it's like I'm happy for where the growth that I've taken. And sometimes as owners, especially new business owners, you don't get to see your growth. But like I just bought, just went and got a backpack blower just because. And I never could I just say, you know what, here's $600. I'm going to go get a machine that makes air go really, really fast. There's never, never, ever would I ever thought that.
Oh no, not in a million years. And we've all been there. And that's why I brought it up, because, I see so much, and I've stressed on my channel a number of times. There's always been this thing, and it's mostly Greg from Geek to Freak started it. And, he started this whole thing with anybody can do this, and it really inspired a lot of people. And that's what and a lot of people started their businesses because of him and because of his channel. And he's 100% right. Anybody can do this. But I made a whole video on this last winter, and I've mentioned it a bunch of times in videos, but I made a whole video kind of specific to this and said, anybody can do it, but not everybody can last. And it's the work, anybody is capable of doing the work. Like, I'll give you an example. My wife can physically do my job, okay? I was raised on a farm. She was raised on a farm. She comes from a family of hard workers. My wife can physically do my job, but it would take me years to teach her how to run my business. It would take me years to teach her about all the different types of grasses and how this one has to be cut at 3.5 inches, but this one you can cut at 2 3/4 because it's a different type of grass. But if you cut that one at 2 3/4, you're killing that son of a bitch in 2 weeks. Or you trim hedges, but these hedges you can trim with hedge trimmers. These ones you have to snip by hand, or you can't go down more than this much on these hedges, and this is why. These ones you trim like this. The engine's running a little funny. Well, you can change out spark plugs and blow out the air filter. You're burning oil because your air filter's plugged because it's been dusty. Or no, pull that bowl off the carburetor, your float's sticking. Like, it would take me so many years to teach her all of the little aspects of how to run the business. Now, my wife's a doctor of physical therapy, so I could physically do her job. I know what she does. I could do her job, but it would take her years to teach me everything that she knows. So the point is anybody can do this job, but what the problem is I see, and I know it's the same in probably every town across the world, is I see new companies pop up every year. And I get some of my buddies in this area, they're like, oh, great, another company here, they're going to lowball all the rest of us. And I'm like, man, chill out. There's plenty of work for everybody. Stick to your prices. And if you're doing what your customer wants, they're not leaving you for the lowest guy anyway. They're going to stay with you. I've barely lost any customers in all the years I've been in business. Probably 98% of what I have lost has been from, I do a lot of work for banks. So houses that sell, or people move away, or people that pass away. And that's why I have customers that I mow now that I've mowed their parents for years, and they have recently moved out and bought their own house, and now I cut their lawn too. The kids, you know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about these other companies, but all you have to do is be willing to learn. And I'm willing to learn anything that anybody teaches me. So many people comment on my videos and say, you've taught me so much. And I tell these guys, I'm like, listen, I learned from you guys just as much. So anybody can do this job. Anybody can have a lawn care business. But the second you think that you can't learn anything else, throw in the towel, because two things are going to happen. One, you're going to fail because you're not willing to learn and to grow and to expand. And two, everybody's going to work against you, because now you've become so arrogant that nobody wants to be around you. Nobody wants to help you. Nobody wants to talk to you. So you're done. You're dead in the water. So I'm willing to learn anything. People tell me, a lot of the channels that have been around for a while kind of, work off each other. We hear a lot of you guys mention, like people hear me mention Brian Shane, Johnny Moe, Richie Plemons, because we all talk all the time. But I've learned off of people that have just started channels this year, because I watched something that somebody does, and I'm like, that's freaking genius. Why didn't I think about that? All these years I've been doing it, and this guy just started a YouTube channel this year. He's talking about his first year in business, but he worked for a different company before. So he's got years of experience. And I'm watching how he does it, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I could have been doing it that way this whole time. So you know what I mean? So you have to be willing to learn, and you can't ever think that you know everything or you're done.
What do you think? What do you think about you running a YouTube channel? You've done it for a long time. Sometimes I catch myself. I talked about it in one of my last podcasts. Maybe it's like sometimes I catch myself being, I can't tell the difference. Now I know the difference, but at the time I didn't know if I was trying to grow a bigger channel, like media company versus an actual company. Like I felt like I was putting more, my goal now I had to work through my own thing, because like I was spending way too much time worried about like comments and getting content out, to where I just took a 1 month hiatus from YouTube, just because it's like, how do you balance that? If you know what I mean? Because now you got like 15, 16,000 subs. Like you're getting a lot of momentum, getting a lot of attention, which are things you should have had a long time ago, if you ask me. And I talked to Johnny Moe not too long ago, and we talked about you quite a bit too. He's like, yeah, your channel should have blown up a long time ago. But how do you balance that because you understand what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know why I think like that.
This is the way I look at YouTube. YouTube has always been a hobby for me, and I'm a firm believer in my business and my family come first. And this past summer,
sorry about that.
That's all right. This past summer, I took like a month and a half off of YouTube. And then I came back with a couple of videos, and I took like another 3 weeks off. And the reason is I had a lot going on with my family, and I've never taken a long period of time off like that from YouTube. And people were commenting all the time, like, just when your channel blows up, you disappear and this and that. And I said, listen, it's just the way that events fell into place. I love YouTube. I love making videos. I love the interaction with all my subscribers, but my family, my business always will come first. Excuse me, I mentioned this in a video, and I said, because people comment on me and Brian at the same time, because Brian has taken quite a bit of time off. And I said, Brian and we feel exactly the same. If we were told by our families today that you need to step away from social media and you need to stop, you guys would never see us again. The family comes first. So I love doing this, but it comes down to what you want and how bad you want it. Like, people say to me, the things I get comments on the most of my videos are people are like, how do you work all day, mow all them lawns, do the landscaping, and then still go to the gym at the end of the day? I'm like, listen, some days I would rather sit in a bathtub full of scissors than go to the gym after a long day, but it comes down to how bad you want it. And it's just like making videos. Like, I literally have mounts on everything. I have mounts on my trucks. I have mounts on my mowers. I got mounts on the trimmers. There's mounts everywhere. And all I do is I take a camera and I set it somewhere and I hit start. And I don't worry about that camera. I don't worry about what it's capturing. I point it in the general direction. I have like 4 different GoPros, general direction, and I go. And I just do what I'm going to do. I treat the lawn like I never even brought a camera.
Right.
And then when I'm done, I walk back up to it and I shut it off, throw it back in the truck or in the trailer, and I go. At the end of the day, I put it on there. Like, I usually average anywhere from a 9 to a 12 or 13-minute video. That's usually 50 minutes of footage that I condense down to that 9 to 11, 12 minutes. Right. So it's a lot of editing, a lot of cutting it out and stuff like that. But I want to do it and I enjoy doing it. And that's why I make the time for it. But when it comes down to, I simply do it for entertainment purposes, or to, if I show me working on something to help somebody out. That's the main reason. Like, I've never looked at it as a media thing, like I want to be a star or something like that. If people knew, you know how many comments I get on every video that people will comment something like, you're such an idiot, you know, if I ever ran into you, I'm going to punch you right in your face, this and that. I get those every day. And I'm thinking, okay, the average person out there is probably 150 pounds, going to walk right up to me. I'm be like, here I am, punch me in my face. And you know what I mean? It's just people talking crap. And it used to bother me, used to really get to me. And I just, I had to get in that mindset where I'm just like, I just laugh it off now. And sometimes I couldn't let it go. I had to argue back with them. So I'd be like right back on top of them, or I'd make a video about it or whatever. And now I'm just like, remove. They pop up. All the alerts come right to my phone as soon as I get them. So, I check them and I'm like, as soon as I'll read the comment, I'm like, remove. Like, my block list is probably bigger than my subscriber list. And, I don't play around. I get rid of them because I'm not in it for the subscribers. And Johnny has said that to me many times, like, dude, you should have 15,000 subs 10 years ago or whatever. So, but I told him, I'm like, I call it like it is. I don't hold back. I don't try to sugarcoat anything. I'm not Little Debbie. I'm not sugarcoating the shit out of everything I put out there. I tell it like it is, and I'm real. And I said, a lot of people like that, but a lot of people in today's society don't like that.
Yeah,
because
we're in a growing market. Like, in one of your older videos, like, I was going back and I was rewatching some of your older stuff, and you had mentioned 8 years ago that there's a lot of people putting out lawn care content. And I was thinking, then there wasn't. Now,
yeah.
Totally different landscape, and there's so much more room for, like, more people. Like, there's so much more attention getting shown on this community, because, like, people now who are just going to go buy any mower off Facebook Marketplace and or Craigslist and or Lowe's, they're going to Google whatever, and chances are you, Spencer, Brian, Johnny, the other Brian, them guys are going to show up because you guys put that work in now. But even some of, like, my videos could possibly show up because I just feel like there's so much attention going to be shown in this community. It's growing like crazy. It's
well, you know what
amazing.
The biggest thing about it is, and a bunch of us said this back in the day, everybody was trying to be like Greg. Everybody wanted to get in the lawn care community and they wanted to be like Greg. And for a while, my videos were a lot like Greg. I did a lot of voiceover narration, all that stuff. But Greg taught me over the phone how to make YouTube videos. We literally were on the phone for hours, and he walked me through it. I used the same program he did for years. Like, he walked me through step by step how to do it, how to change up your video so it wasn't the same thing all the time. Like, so a lot of mine were very, very similar to his. And sometimes in some of my videos I put out now, still have a lot of those similarities, but I kind of did my own thing. And that's why, like, Brian from Top Notch, he'll tell you every day, the reason he blew up and got so big so quick is because he come on just at the right time as the community was growing. And people were like, fiending for these lawn care videos, and not that many people were making them. So he came in the mark just at the right time. He stayed consistent. He put out the same videos and he scheduled them so they would pop up at the same time every day. And once YouTube sees that and it pops into their algorithm, that's why you see my videos pop up at 5:30 every day. Sometimes they're later or earlier, just depending on what's going on with my day. But usually they're right at 5:30 every single time, because consistency is key on YouTube. YouTube's algorithm looks for that. Once they see it, and then they see people like look for that all the time, and then you get that initial traction right off that same time, then YouTube yanks your video and it starts throwing it up in other people's suggestion things. Like it could be people that don't watch any lawn care at all. They go on to look at furniture making all the time. And YouTube will grab your video and start throwing it into their suggestion thing. That's how their algorithms work. So consistency is key. So that's what Brian did. And he figured that out early. And that's in that early days, like when I said, you know, there's so much out there and the community's growing so big, that's everybody was coming to the scene and everybody was trying to be like Mike. So do you remember that old saying, be like Mike? Everybody was trying to be like Greg, and they tried imitating every single thing he was doing, thinking they would blow up like he did.
Right.
They didn't know that 70% of his subscribers had nothing to do with lawn care. He had a channel before lawn care, and that's where they all came from.
Right.
So the reason I think that it's blowing up so much more now, when it seemed like it was then, but it actually is now, is because there's so many people out there doing different things.
Yeah.
Everybody's not trying the same thing. So that's why there's a lot more saturation of the lawn care community, a lot more people coming into it. But I can click to 10 different people. Like I can go to your videos. I can go to Johnny Moe's, you know, you put one out, Johnny Moe puts one out. I don't know, Sean and Savannah put one out, and we'll say that Happy's puts one out. I can click on each one of them, and I know, other than the fact that you guys are all different people, I know I'm going to get a completely different type of video from each one of you, because everyone's doing their own thing. Whereas back in the early days of us guys that have been around forever, it didn't matter whose channel you clicked on, you're getting the same shit. You're getting the same type of video.
Now, do you ever felt like all your videos sound the same, or you're doing the same thing over and over again? You get bored making your own content? Because a lot of times in my whenever I'm sitting here messing with it and blah blah blah, I'm like, whatever, and I'll just fast forward through all the work part because I think that's boring. You know what I mean? And I'll go to the talking, but then I'll get like people be like, no man, we like watching the work stuff. I'm just like, oh, it is a hard balance to.
Yeah, and I get that a lot, and that's why I try to break it up. Like some videos will have more like action than talking, and other ones have more talking of like me and Billy screwing around the truck or whatever than action. And the reason why is because people do get sick of the same stuff over and over again. So I get people who are like, man, quit talking so much in the video. We like watching the machines in action. You know, we came to your channel because we want input on these machines. We want to see what they do. And so they come for that. And then other people are like, man, I don't even care about the mowing. I don't watch that. I could listen to you and Billy go back and forth all day.
That's what
and then other guys only come to the channel to watch me repair stuff. So those guys tune in. Like, it's weird because you get used to seeing the same names of people that comment all the time. And I get some guys where I might get a comment or two from them throughout the summer, but I see them comment on almost every single video throughout the winter. They only come to my channel because they like the snow plowing videos. And in the winter, I usually have a project. Like last year was the grandstand. You know what I mean? So they come for that stuff. So I try to break it up. Like I could have put out mowing videos all week this week, but I didn't. The first couple of days were mowing videos, and then like yesterday I did one and showed the new bagging system on the V-Ride, but I showed that, hey, the grandstand's broke, and this is what it was. Today I had some mowing in there, a little bit of screwing around back and forth with me and Billy, and then I showed the V-Ride 2 mowing, actually bagging with the bagging system, and then I showed in the end me fixing in the parts with Toro grandstand, and then it showed me riding wheelies on it down the road. You know what I mean? So, you know, I try to break it up and I try to put different stuff because people do get sick of seeing the same thing. And I get sick of filming the same thing. I don't want to, I sit there and think all the time, like, people want to watch this shit. I just put 3 videos out the other day, you know, and so I try to show different yards too. But, you know, right now we maintain 78 yards a week. Those are our weekly mows. And Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm by myself. So I only have Billy Thursday and Friday. Tuesday and Wednesday are my heaviest days. And so I don't get much time to film because I'm just trying to stay on, especially now everything's taking longer because I'm mulching leaves, I'm bagging leaves. It's just the fall season has really kicked in for us over the last week and a half. So
Yeah,
I'm trying to, there's a lot of lawns I'll never put on camera. You'll never see them because I just don't, they're really high paying lawns and the people probably wouldn't care. They're super cool, but it's not worth taking that chance just to make a video over. I'm not gonna take a chance of pissing a customer off and losing those ones. You know what I mean?
Have you ever had
year-round
aggravated with you for filming?
Nope, never. I've actually only a couple times in all the years that I've been doing it have I ever had a customer say anything to me about the camera, and they're like, "Are you filming this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd screw around and make." And it was when I was doing like last year, I had 2 different customers say something because they saw the camera out when Ferris gave me that FB3000 ride-on blower.
Yeah.
For the lead. Oh man, amazing! I love it. I can't justify spending $14,000 on something I'll use for a month and a half every year, but they gave me that, and a couple customers had seen the camera set up, and they asked me like, "Oh, are you filming this?" And I told them, "Yeah, this company that owns this, they gave it to me. I'm allowed to use it for the leaf cleaning season, so you get the benefits of me using it on your yard, but in return, I have to make them some review videos that they can use for their marketing." They're like, "Oh, that's super cool. How do you get on something like that?" And they wanted to talk about it. They thought it was super cool. So I've never ever had anybody say anything bad to me about, having a camera, like, shut that camera off. But my mounts are very low profile mounts. They're like every mount I have is black. So I'll drop the gate on my enclosed trailer and I'll clip it to the top of the wall and turn it so just the camera's sitting there. So unless you're standing right on top of my trailer, like right up against my trailer, you'd never even see that camera there. You'd never even know. Like, I don't go and set tripods up in the middle of customers' yards. I would never do that. I have a pole that I made that I showed in a video. It's like a long piece of 1/2-inch thick steel rod, and I ground the end down so it's a point, and then I glued a GoPro quick clip to the top, and so I'll just stick it straight in the ground with the camera on it, and I'll do it like up against a tree or something, so you can't even see it's there. It allows me to do different angles like that, or I'll stick it down the ground to where it's kind of half in a bush, so you can't even see that it's there. So customers don't even know the cameras are set up, but some guys I see in their videos, they set tripods up and everything on their customers' yards. It's kind of ballsy. I'm not so sure I would do that. I've done it on a couple yards in the past, but like I said, I do a lot of work for banks. So I work with a couple banks and a couple realty companies exclusively, and they call me up and say, "Hey, Randy, we just got another one that's on the market. We need you to go clean it up and then keep it on your route until it sells. We'll let you know when it sells."
Yeah.
And I go, so, people don't even live there. So properties like that, I would. And I tell them, they all know that I film. A lot of them watch my videos. So, they think it's the coolest thing ever. And, so I don't have any issue there. But on an everyday property where people live, I would never set up a tripod in the middle of their yard.
Yeah, I've definitely done that. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, this is a bad idea. I got little kids looking out at me, which is cool because couple of my clients, they don't care about YouTube this or YouTube that, whatever, but the kids that are there, they think it's so cool. I'm the YouTube guy, and it's like, I'll take it, I'll take it, whatever. It's a lot of fun. Like, I definitely enjoy making the videos. But I did want to ask you too, is when you had your guys in place, you mentioned that your systems weren't really you said you didn't have any standard operating procedures, but at what point did you start implementing systems? And you said you keep a higher clientele base. You niche down to about 74 properties weekly now. What kind of systems do you keep in place that helps you still be profitable and have time management for with your family? Or did you just kind of figure it out? Or did you have any kind of like a CRM or anything like that?
No. No, I don't use any of that. I'll tell you what, it's all pretty much stuff that I've designed on my own, but I'll tell you one thing is for certain right now, and I would probably bet my business on the fact that if anybody has been in this situation and they say that that's not true at all, or they say that I'm wrong, I would be willing to bet that they're lying and they've never actually experienced it. When I did decide it's time to implement procedure and it's time to lay down the ground rules, that's when you're pissing off your employees because they've been working for you for a couple of years and them ground rules weren't there before. And now all of a sudden they're being regimented and they don't like it. So that's what I found out real quick, that they don't give a shit about me or my company. And they just want to quick come in here, bang it out, and leave. Like I had this one guy, he knew that if we hustled on a Friday, we'd be done by 4:30, 5 o'clock, maybe. Normally it was 6:30,
Right.
6:30, but if we really hustled, 4:35, we could knock it out and get it done. He tells me at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday after we've already been working for an hour and a half that he has to be out by 1 o'clock because he's going out of town. I'm like, excuse me? Like these guys, you find out real quick they don't care. But the biggest thing is I knew how I wanted things. I am one of the only, if the only company in my area, and I mean within 20 miles of me, that edges sidewalks and driveways.
That's amazing.
Nobody does it. It's unheard of. Nobody even carries a stick edger. When I went and bought the stick edger from my dealer, he said it had been sitting there for a long time. People don't do it. It's just not a thing. And when I have one of my accounts where there's a long sidewalk in front of it, which isn't a common thing in my area, but there's a long sidewalk in front of all the houses, the sidewalks in front of the property I do are that wide. To the left and right, they're that wide. You know what I mean? And it just looks ridiculous. But it's not a thing. So I knew that was a big thing for me. I knew that never leaving grass laying on a customer's property, even if I have to, if it's just a small, like quarter-acre property and I have to double cut it, I don't charge the customer twice. I just do it because I take pride in it. And then another one I put into place, and I used to do these all the time. The customer calls up and be like, listen, we don't want any weed whack, we don't want any blow, we just want to cut and cut it right down. You don't have to double cut it, nothing. What's the cost on that? And I would take those on all the time. I'm thinking, oh, quick, wham, bam, do it, get out of there. The people to the left or right and across the street don't know that's the arrangement they set up with me. They look out there, see what I did, look at countryside lawn real big on the side of the trailer or the truck, and they think that that's what I did. So I cut that right out. I'm picky about when you weed whack, it should be at the same height you just cut the lawn. You don't skip it where it's high and low, up and down. Don't scalp it down when you're cutting the grass a little bit higher. Just stuff like that. And there's some companies around here, their guys will mow all day long with no shirt on. Some of these guys are some pretty big fellows where there's stuff moving where it shouldn't be. And, so I let, Billy and I mean, they see, we cut our sleeves off, the shirt's half torn down there, but we're still wearing a shirt. You know what I mean? We're both in decent shape. So it's not like we're big overweight guys with stuff hanging out all over. You know what I mean? But and the guys that work for me that had beards, they'd be like, I don't care, grow a beard if you want, but keep it trimmed. Don't look all scraggly and like there's squirrels living in it. So just basic stuff like that. But so those are some of the main procedures I put into place, and then the no smoking on a customer's property and stuff like that. But as far as being able to manage it, I started looking at shit and I'm thinking, last year, and I just put this in place like 3 years ago, I looked over the way, I'm like, last year, I was down this road 2 different days a week because this customer wanted to cut on this, or didn't care what day, so I do it on a Tuesday, but these other 3 customers had to have their lawn cut on a Friday, and they're in the same neighborhood. I'm like, this is stupid. So I changed everything around, and I said, this is how I'm going to do it, route density. I catered to, out of the 2 days I was on that street, I catered to the highest paying, least bitching customer. And so whatever day they fell on, whether it was the Friday or the Tuesday, I put everybody on that day. So the other ones that complained, I'm like, sorry, it's the only day of the week I'm there. I can come on that other day, but I now have to double your price because I don't have a truck in that neighborhood on that day. Oh, well, you know what? I guess we'll try it out for this year. And some of them just went and found somebody else. And I said, you know what? See you later. Go.
Right.
Because the phone will ring every day. So especially if you're doing what you say you're going to do and you show up. The biggest thing that there's not a lawn care company in my area I haven't gotten lawns from. And that's in 90% of the reason is because they'd say, last week they came on Monday, the week before that it was a Wednesday, the week before that it was a Tuesday, and they're all over the place. I stick to a schedule, and the main reason that I do it, to be honest with you, is because nothing irks me more than running over dog shit. So I'm on the same day every week, so the customer knows your day is Tuesday. When I get there on Tuesday, there better not be a pile in that yard. Keep it out of that yard. So it allows people to, plus, you know, they can work their events and all their stuff around me. But so, you know, it's time management. Like I will mow. Billy and I had to play catch up yesterday, and from 8 in the morning until I just watched the video back earlier before we started this. From 8 in the morning to 1:19, I think we did. I can't remember what it was. 21 lawns.
That's
something like that. That's route density, route management. In the one street that I pull up on, like the first 8 lawns that we had to do yesterday morning were my last 8 on my Wednesday list. I parked the truck in one spot and cut all 8 of them.
That's how
They're literally right there. You know what I mean? And so it's route density. I never put more than 5 miles on my truck in a day. Never. It's that tight. In most days, it's 3 to 4 miles, and I average 20 lawns a day. You know what I mean? So, or right in that area between 15, 20 lawns a day. So I'm never driving that far, and that's what you want. And that doesn't come easy. That takes time to get to. I used to drive all over House Creation to try to pick up lawns or whatever, but I started realizing I'm in all these same neighborhoods multiple days a week. I'm like, no. This has to get condensed, especially if I'm going to, when I went back solo, I'm like, I need to make as much money as I could possibly make in the hours that I have. And I don't mean sun up to sundown because that shit's for the birds. And I do it in the fall when it's leaf season because the days are so short. And sometimes I still do it a little bit in the spring. But for an entire season of work, sun up to sundown, no, I don't need the money that bad. I've never seen a coffin tow in a U-Haul. You can't take that shit with you when you go, man. So I want to spend the time. I tell my wife and kids all the time, if it wasn't for you guys, I'd been the next episode of Alaska, The Last Frontier, in a cabin in the woods hunting every day. That's what I would be doing. You guys would never even see my fat ass. I would be gone. So I'm like, I do this and I work so hard and I do what I do for you guys to have this life with you guys. So I'm not going to work myself to death and then not have any time with them or work so damn hard that I come home that I'm too tired to do anything with them. That's ridiculous to me. So like I said, I want to make the most money that I can in the hours that I allow myself to work that day. Not how many hours there are in a day. How many do I allow myself to work? So I started jam-packing them together. I'm in this town this day. And if somebody calls me now and I have an opening, I tell them, I'm in your neighborhood on Wednesdays. Oh, I really want to mow it on Friday. I'm sorry, I wish I could help you out, but I'm only in your neighborhood on Wednesdays. I keep my routes very tight. That allows me to keep my prices competitive, and it allows me to be as efficient as I can possibly be. And a lot of people, when they hear that, they're like, I never hear a long guy talk like that. They think we're all stupid. They think, we're just a long guy. You know what I mean? So you start talking to him like that. And Keith Kalfas is the one that got me on this train. He's the one that drilled this into me. He's like, Randy, just talk to them. You don't have to act like you're the smartest guy in the room, but you have to be confident. Because if they pick up on that crap, me too. I get from a customer and be like, cut it for $25. The last guy did it for 22. I'll do it for 21. You know what I mean? I wasn't confident. Now I walk up to a lawn. I'm like, it's $45 a week. I invoice at the end of every month for how many times I've been here. I invoice via email. There's a link on there. You can click it. You can pay it online, or you can click it, print out your bill. There's a stub on the bottom. You can rip it off and mail a check to me, or you can leave me cash in a place that we agree upon the following week when I get there. If you want it sent by paper in the mail, that's fine. There's a $2 charge for that each month for paper invoicing.
That's
Oh, okay. And I don't hold back. And they're like, oh, that's too much. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. If the next guy you have doesn't work out, by all means, feel free to call us and I'll see what we can do to work with you and see if we can work something out. And then I shake their hand and I walk away. And they're like, you know what I mean? But it's taken me a long time to get to that. I don't care if it's not whether I'm right for you, it's whether you're right for me. Because I'm not little Johnny mowing lawns after school. This is how I pay my mortgage. You
Right.
know what I mean? So it has to be right for me. And
That's
so
one thing.
I screen my customers.
That's one thing I'm trying to work on in my confidence is it's getting a lot better, but I realized like I did a whole beautiful fucking huge install for this lady. I come way down on the price, all brand new everything, right after she had a beautiful stamped concrete patio put in. And that should have been the red flag. She didn't have no money, blah, blah, blah. But she just had a $10,000 stamp patio put in. I'm like, all right, maybe that broke her. I don't know. Maybe she got her stimulus check and I don't know. None of my business, but I can do it for this price. It'd be close, but I can still make some money. Then I get to get this whole project done. Beautiful project. And I'm so excited about it. And then she goes on vacation and I come back to mow and she pays online. And I'm like, hey, this is dying. This has been a week later. I said, hey, what's going on? All these hydrangeas they're fried, they're dead. Oh, we're on vacation. My daughter's supposed to water. I'm like, she hasn't. Nothing. Like the Japanese maples, everything's dying. What's going on? Oh yeah, we're in Jamaica right now. We'll be back in about a week and a half. And I'm just like, it just like burnt me up. Like she lied about the prices. They have plenty of money. They're going on vacation. They have new. I realized then and there. I was like, okay. I just started adding up all the times that I've been used and just overlooked, and it just like all of a sudden a wave of emotion just kind of like I've just been everybody's little bitch this whole time is what I felt like. It was rough, man. The last 2 months was a really rough time for me.
It's a hard lesson to learn for sure. And anyone that says that they've come up through the ranks and they haven't made those mistakes and they haven't been burned are full of shit. Because let me tell you, it happens to everybody. That's how you learn and that's how you build a business strong enough that can't just easily be torn down. The absolute the worst are the little old ladies. They will take you to the bank and they know how to do it. They will drive you right down. You'll feel so bad because you look at them and you see your grandma and you're thinking, I hope that somebody's treating my grandma this nice. You know what I mean? So you'll feel bad for them. And I've had that happen. I had a lady that told me, I had her for 4 years. And finally, after 4 years, I'm like, I really need to raise her price. I don't know why I haven't raised her price. And a few years back, and I mentioned this in a video the other day, is I set a minimum. It took me years, and it clicked, and I'm like, I need a freaking minimum. If I can't at least hit that minimum, I'm not going. I'm not going to have my prices all over the board here and there, and they do fluctuate depending on properties, but I need a freaking minimum. So I'm like, I need to raise her. And she's like, oh, I can't afford it. And can we, just keep it the same for this year? We'll talk about it again next year. That entire summer, she had her driveway ripped out and repaved. She had a new deck put on the back of her house. And this wasn't one of the little old ladies, by the way. This was she was probably in like her late 40s, early 50s. And she had a new deck put on her house, a vinyl fence put all the way around her backyard, which was almost a half acre. And I'm adding all this shit up my head. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, and she's told me over a period of like 3 years, she moved here from Texas. She still ran a hospital in Texas, but did it from here in New York on her computer is how she did. She's some type of administrator. And she had a little daughter that was adopted. And I'm like, every week I went there to mow. And I used to love it because she was super cool to me, super sweet. And she'd come out and say hi. She'd bring me a bottle of water when I was there. And that's probably why I never raised her price for like 4 years. But from that point on, when I started seeing this stuff go on in early spring, every single week I went there to mow her grass. Like my blood just boiled. I was so irritated. And I'm like, she's probably looking out her window right now laughing, thinking, that's schmuck. And I was so pissed every time I went there. So at the end of the year, I left it alone. The following spring come up and I raised her price. And I was only initially going to raise her price $5 a week. I bumped it $10. She instantly sends me a text message back, says, I can't believe you're going to raise me that much. I said, listen, here's the deal. And I called her out because I didn't plan on mowing anyway, because by that point, I didn't care if she gave me $20 more a week. I didn't want to touch her lawn, right? So I'm like, I'm just laying on the table. So I text her back and I said, here's the deal. For 4 years, you've been whining to me about the fact that you were so broke and things were so tough on you and so hard. And I knew you had an adopted daughter with you, and I knew that things were a little rough right now. So I tried to work with you, and I kept your price same, and I never raised it. And, you know, I was perfectly fine. I wasn't losing money, but I wasn't really making money in your lawn. It was fine. It's fine for me to do that for the occasional customer. Not a big deal. I said, and then last year I was going to raise your price, and you told me again, things were really tough. I go, and I watched you do this, 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 and this, and I listed them. And I said, you did every one of those throughout the summer. I said, and every week I went there to mow, I was thinking another project going on here and there. I said, you completely took advantage of me. I said, and I said, no hard feelings. I said, but there's only one of two ways it's going to work. One, you're going to pay the difference on a weekly basis. Or two, you're going to have to find another lawn service. No hard feelings. I'll walk away. You know what she does? She writes back, you white trash mother effer, how dare you, with 4 question marks. That was it. Wow. I didn't respond to her. No explanation, no nothing. That's what she wrote. And I didn't respond to her. I did nothing. And I just laughed. I was like, oh my God, I wanted to respond. There's so many things I wanted to say. And I'm like, you know what? She'll screenshot this and put it all over social media. I'm done. And I just left it alone. Never responded back to her. Never went back there again. I wasn't about to say anything at the end of the season because I knew I wouldn't get paid for whatever she owed me at the end of the season. So I waited.
See, that's one thing I wish I would have done a little different. Because when I walked away from that client that went on the vacation, had the stamp patio, lived in that really, really nice neighborhood, like she called me, she kept calling and calling and calling. And I was so mad. I knew if I answered that I was going to lose it. You know what I mean? And I just ignored her. And that was probably the worst way of like dropping somebody. But like, there was all kinds of red flags. I wish I would have just let her know, like, no, you took advantage of me. You weren't my friend. You took my kindness and you used it against me, which is my fault. It's a learning lesson on me. Oh man, I wish I would have at least said, no, you've done this, this, and this all year. I've seen you guys brag about all these little things that you and your husband go and do, which is cool. I love that. Have fun, but don't turn around and just say how broke you are all the time. And how bad that was one thing, how bad COVID hurt them. And I couldn't raise my prices on certain things because COVID affected them so bad. She never missed a paycheck. Like it was all the same. It's like, I didn't find that out till weeks later. We were just talking casually and it was like, she was still getting paid the whole time. Like nothing changed.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
and then probably getting the boost on top of it, the extra money, which a lot of people were. And people said that in the beginning of the year. Johnny Moe made a couple of videos on this, and he said, I don't know what's going to happen. And Johnny worries a lot. Johnny, I'm surprised that guy hasn't had 4 heart attacks. He has, if I remember correctly, he has had 1. I love Johnny. He's a great guy. We've been friends a long time, but he worries way too much. And the day that he does go, Lord, pray that it never happens anytime soon. I would never wish on, but the day that he does go is gonna be from anxiety. I guarantee. He worries a lot, and he made a couple of videos in a row talking about how COVID's gonna affect people. You're gonna lose customers, this and that. And it got to the point where I started questioning it. And I'm pretty confident in myself when it comes to my business because of all the stupid stuff I've done, all the hard lessons I've learned, all the money I've lost. I've grown to be pretty confident in where I'm at now at this stage. And so I even started questioning, like, oh man, I hope that doesn't happen. And I started worrying. And then I started thinking, what the hell are you doing? Stop thinking like that. You'll be fine. I probably picked up more customers this year and have had more work this year than I have in the last 3 years. People were home more, and they looked around their yard and they're like, oh man. I was like, shit, I got to get that cleaned up. Randy, can you come give me your price on this? And that's how it went. I didn't lose any customers because of COVID. I picked up so many new customers. People were, even the ones working from home, they were still getting paid. The ones that were laid off were getting unemployment plus a boost stimulus on top of that. No issues at all. Never knew. Like I said, 90% of my invoicing is done via email and they pay online. I don't exchange cash or money with almost anybody. It wasn't an issue at all. Customers I picked up, because I live right on the border. Like I'm 5 miles north of Niagara Falls. in New York. I'm right there on the border. And there's a lot of people that live here but work in Canada because it's like 7 minutes away.
Right.
So a bunch of them went over there to work and they shut the bridges down and they got stuck there. I have 4 customers that I mow this year that where I told you my Wednesday morning where I have 8 or 9 of them right there in that neighborhood. 4 of them all live here and work in Canada. They haven't been able to come home all summer. I've been maintaining their lawns all summer because they can't come back home. So they've been staying over there in apartments that their work is paying for them to stay in these apartments. And I email them an invoice and they pay it online. I picked up customers like crazy, so it wasn't an issue. But yeah, I've seen guys make videos of that saying that people have tried pulling that card on them, saying, I can't afford to pay, it's so broke, I want to go to bi-weekly and this and that. And, I have 1 bi-weekly loan, 1. And it's, I just don't do them. I haven't done them in years. I don't want nothing to do with them. People call me and they're like, I'm looking for a bi-weekly cut. And you called the wrong number. We don't do that here.
That's smart. Was it hard for you to transfer people over to like electronic invoicing, like email, whether you use Jobber or whoever you ever use? It doesn't matter.
No, I use Yardbook, and I used to use Square, and I did all my own invoicing. I use on Square, and but I use Yardbook now, and I kind of dabbled with it for a couple of years and messed with it a little bit here and there. And I don't even use half the features that are on the program, but I went solely to it at the end of last year. So I used it all winter for snow plowing to try to, play it out a little bit and see how it worked. And I have 62 driveways that I plowed last year. And my entire route takes me about 4 hours to do. So they're that tight. Again, they're that close together. But out of those 64, I think 52 of them prepay for the season. So I only had a handful that I would invoice monthly. So I figured the winter time, there's only a few to invoice. That's the time to mess with it. So I really got into it. And since this past winter, I've used solely Yardbook. That's all I use. But the reason I started it is because there are, I live right on Lake Ontario, and there's a lot of lakefront homes there that are all vacation homes for people. So a lot of my customers, I have customers I've been mowing for 7 years. If I walk past them in the grocery store, I wouldn't even know it was them. I've never met them. I probably don't know more than half my customers. But there's a lot of them that live out of state, and they just come here a couple times during the summer to these vacation homes. So one of them actually suggested to me probably about 3 years ago, why don't you do some type of online invoicing where we can pay online? And I'm like, I'm going to try that out. I'm going to look into it and see what there is out there. So I tried a couple, and it was mostly for them. And it was mostly for them. And I kept switching to different services because they would store their card on file, so then when I send them an invoice, they go in and click, their card's already there and they could pay. Well, it would give me all their card info, and I didn't want it. I didn't want to be responsible for it. So I dumped that service and tried to find another one. In Yardbook, it just tells me if they have a card on file. It doesn't let me see the card. I'm not responsible for it, nothing. Well, so then I had the great idea, well, I'm going to offer this to everybody, even my customers that live here. But here's the thing. Here's where I made a mistake. So if you plan on going this route, I'll give you a little what Johnny Moe calls a pro tip. And anyone listening to this, heed my advice here. I couldn't get barely anybody on board with online paying, okay? And the best thing about online paying is they pay it, and the next morning I can take it out of my account. It's there, okay? And as soon as they pay, it instantly alerts my phone that they just paid it. And when they click to pay it, before they click pay now, and before they can put in their card info, a screen pops up and it says, would you like to leave a tip? And it says 5%, 10%, and they have to click one of them or else click no before they can go to the next screen and actually pay it. So it actually encourages, you wouldn't believe it. it probably 20, 25 of my customers a month leave me tips. I get tips anywhere, because they do a percentage, anywhere from 16 to 25, $30 tips every month by a large percentage of them, because they have to click out of that screen before they can go to the next one.
Think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's in their head. So it helps them it helps encourage them to do it. But anyway, here's where I made the mistake. And here's my tip for you is I figured when you pay a utility online, there's usually anywhere from a $2 to a $5 charge to pay it online, right? That's how almost all of them work. So I'm like, well, why can't I do that? So I told them, I'm like, I'm offering online bill pay, and there is a $3 charge with that. If you want to pay online, there's a $3 service charge, just like a utility. And almost every one of them were like, no, 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 no. They didn't want to know nothing about that $3 charge, right? Like it was going to break their bank. Their month bill for invoicing, say they were $30 a lawn, was $120, but that $3 was going to break the bank. They couldn't do it, couldn't handle it. So, like, okay. So the following spring, I raised almost every one of my customers. And usually every 2, sometimes every 3 years, I raise my customers' price. Now, there's barely anybody there was only one company in my area, and I don't even think they're in business anymore. They would mow lawns for like oddball amounts. It'd be like $27 or $29 or $31. Everything's by fives of me. It's 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. You know what I mean? So I raised them all $5, and most of them weren't even due for a raise. Not that I tell them what the cycle is, because I want to raise them when I want to. I don't want them to expect to be on a cycle that. So I raised them all $5, every single one of them. And then I sent them out an invoice and said, we are doing online invoicing with online bill pay, and I found a new service instead of the one that I offered you guys last year. This one doesn't charge me a service fee. So now I don't have to transfer that service fee onto you guys. So now it's free. You don't get the service charge. You just go on, you pay your bill. There's no extra charge for it. Almost everyone said, sign me up. What do you need from me? They took the email, they signed it up, and I got my service fee because I raised all their weekly prices. It sounds like you're kind of scandalous, but you know what? I got to eat too.
Right.
Very simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're all about the idea. They wanted the convenience of paying online. They wanted the convenience of, having it very simple for them. It's right there in their inbox, and they don't have to get it in the mail. And then, it takes 3 days to get to them. Then they get it. They throw it on the dash of their car. They take it inside, set it down. They forget about it. And so now they get the email, they click it, they do it from their phone or their computer or whatever. The best part about it is my system is automatically set up because my invoices are net 10 days. So it emails them the invoice, right?
Right.
On that 9th day, they get another email automatically from my system that says, just a reminder, your invoice is due tomorrow. It's the 10th day. It's due by tomorrow at 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. midnight. And so it emails them a reminder automatically if they haven't paid it yet. On the 10th day, they get another one automatic from the system. I have nothing to do with it. I set it up that way.
Right.
But please don't forget your invoice is due today. If they don't pay it, the 11th day they get an invoice first thing in the morning. It says, your invoice is now 1 day late. To avoid interruption in service, please pay immediately. And every time any one of them gets that, they send me a text where, I'm so sorry, Randy, I forgot I'm paying it right now. And I tell them, I know, I already got the alert. You just paid it. Or you'll get that occasional customer says, I never received your invoice, but I got a reminder to pay it. Well, my system can't send you a reminder if it didn't send you an invoice. Oh, I never got it. I'm like, please hold on a second. And I pull it right up on my phone. I go on and I look and I say, I sent it out on the 1st. You opened it on the 3rd at 2:47 p.m. What? Yeah, my system tells me when you open the email. Oh, I must have opened it and forgot. Yeah, sure you did. Pay the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's so nice. The system does so much for you. And that's the free version of Yardbook. I have the paid version. I think it's like $30 a month. But when you do the paid version, Yardbook no longer charges you that service fee for each invoice you send out. It's like 2% or whatever it is. Yeah. So if you're sending out enough invoices every month, that $30 is nothing. You pay 70 in service fees throughout all them invoices. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah,
it's worth
I use QuickBooks. I've been using that for a little bit. I really like it, and I just implemented Lawn Pro not too long ago. And Lawn Pro is like free, and I don't use a lot of the stuff they have on there at the beginning. Not the beginning, but during the middle of summer, I picked up a little like time tracking thing. Whenever I had like a bunch of people running around weed eating for me all over, and everybody's like, "Well, I worked 4 hours. I worked 6 hours." I said, "Hey, if you don't punch in on this app and then punch out, you ain't getting paid." And I paid
right.
I paid $10 a month for that, and I reminds me I need to cancel that because I got rid of that job. But that was that $10 was the best $10 I ever spent. It saved me so much money. And there was a time one dude got paid. He got pissed. I was like, "Look, what's your only responsibility? Is a weed eat and then punch in and punch out. If you were at Midwest right now, what would you have to? It's a local factory. What would you have to do right now?" He's like, "Well, I'd have to put." I'm like, "Well, hey, I'm gonna pay you what I think you worked this week, and next time, if you don't you got your phone in your pocket, you playing on it all day. I bitch at you all day long for staying around your phone. I'm like, please, I'm not making much here, bud. Help me out here."
Right.
And that was I like them them simple CRMs, and a lot of them like the paid version versus like free versions. Like Lawn Pro worked, like I said, like worked for me good. QuickBooks works for me good. I like when you were talking about them reminders. I sent one out today, and like I got like one that's like net 30, but like they'll have like 4 of them in a row that's late. So like instead of like doing it automatically, you could, but I like to just send them myself. I sent her like 4 in a row. So like I know as soon as she opens her email tomorrow, she's gonna have 4 alerts from me right in a row. And I just
Yeah.
I like it a lot. It's getting so easy to collect payments, and I gotta move everybody over. Like it's only pretty much mostly like commercial accounts or people who own businesses. I'm trying to next season. I'm gonna push everybody. I'm gonna try my best to push. It's so convenient.
It was the best thing I ever did because I have, like I said, when I went back solo, I mean, this was Billy's first season working for me. Last year he came on halfway through the season, but since COVID and school was out, I've had him since the first day of the season.
Are they in
The year, yeah, the year before I didn't get him till the end of June when he was done with school for the year. So this year I had him from April 1st right on. So he was with me the whole season this year. In like right now they do online learning where they're on the computer on Mondays, and then Tuesday and Wednesday they're at school and they're off Thursday and Friday. It's stupid, but anyway, I call it the election infection. But anyway, so it so it's really weird because when I have him helping me now, but when I first went back solo, it's just me. So I needed to cram as much as I could, like I said, in those hours I allowed myself to work that day or each individual day. So I need to take as much off my plate as possible. And I found that I was forgetting to send reminders like, hey, you need to pay your bill or I'm going to stop service. And it would be the end of the month and I'd go to send out invoicing and I'd see 15 people that never paid the month before. I'm like, man, how did I miss this? And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So that's when I found the service and I pushed over. Like I said, I screwed up at first when I tried forwarding that charge over onto them. But then when I found a way around it, just raised each one of their prices and and then send them an email and say, hey, because see, that was the other good thing. And that's what I've tried to explain to a lot of people, and here's another thing that Keith Kalfas had told me, and is that when you allow your customers, like I know there's a lot of guys that accept only cash and they're trying to fly under the radar, and that's great. Trust me, I'm all for sticking it to the government, okay? But you're only going to get away with it for so long.
Right.
So the best thing that you can do is find ways to still do it legitimately, but make the money you want to be making. When you offer your customers a way to pay with a credit card, their mind and their morals go the other way. That's what I've learned, because you go to somebody and you tell them, I'm going to trim all these hedges, I'm going to add all these flower beds, and I'm going to fill them all with mulch, and it's going to be beautiful, pretty, and everybody in your family is going to think you're a millionaire with this multi-million-dollar company doing work for you. They're going to love it. You're going to love it. Oh man, $2,200? I don't know. I accept credit cards. When can you do it? I don't care if they go into debt on their credit card. That's not my business. Okay. I didn't make that decision for them, but I will more than gladly take your credit card.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not my problem if you don't know how to budget your money and you're going to overspend or live outside your means. But people will pay. So the way that I did it that year when I raised their prices was, I kind of included all that together. I included the raise that I was increasing the cost of their weekly mowing, but also at the same time, you tell them about you're accepting credit card or debit card payments and there's no charge to you. It's just your invoice. So now they're not so worried about that $5 increase because they feel in their mind they don't have to come up with it and cash it every week or every month, however you invoice. They're like, I'll just put it on my credit card.
I know a
So
guy.
so they're it's all a mental thing, and it's not even really a financial thing at that point, and it's not even a principal thing at that point. Like, oh my goodness, he raised me $5. Why would he do that to me? I give him a bottle of water every week. It's a mental thing, is what it is, and people are much more likely. And I'm the same way. If I go to the store, I almost never carry cash on me. I just don't. And if I go to the store and I have $200 cash in my pocket, I'm like, I'm kind of hesitant to break that $100 bill.
Right.
But I'll pull out my credit card and be like, Poof!
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, Milwaukee has a new impact. I gotta have it. Swoop. But and that's how people think, and it's just the way that their minds work. And they're thinking, oh, $5 increase. I don't know. Oh, he accepts credit cards? Screw it. He's worth it. He does a good job. He's always here when he says he's going to be here. He never leaves my lawn looking like crap, blah, blah, blah. So you got to find ways to combine the two. And you start accepting credit cards and you will see people will sign on for. I've had customers that would never, ever have me do their landscaping. I don't know. I'm not going to mulch this year or this or that. They don't want to spend the money. Once I got them on board with I now take credit cards, they had me do their mulch every year. They've had me install new flower beds. Some of them have gone to, can I just pay you for the whole season in advance? How many weeks are in a season? And they pay for the whole mowing season. They want to pay for it in advance. Just put it on the card. Right. And then they worry about paying the card off throughout the summer as they feel they want to pay it off, not when the bill is due. What I mean? It changes people's entire mindset, and it opens up all new doors once you start accepting credit cards.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And a guy that I know, it's kind of like, he's kind of like a coach or a mentor. This is a topic I want to talk to you about too, real quick. But he told me that he runs an HVAC company, and when he started to allow like financing, like not through him, but he works with whoever, let's just say some bank or whatever, they offer financing. And that's when his small business took off to where, he'd go in there and be like, hey, you need a new furnace, you need this, and this. I don't know, or you can apply for financing through this bank right here that we work with, and you can have it right now. We can start today. And it's like, that took his company and just made it blow up.
I've heard of a lot of companies doing that, and with HVAC. And there's a buddy of mine that practically runs. He's like the lead guy for one of the largest companies in our area, and they always advertise, furnace installs, get it now, pay later kind of thing. And the one day I asked him, I'm like, what the hell is that all about? Like, get it now, pay it later. I'm like, I know you don't just take these people for their word or they'll pay later. And he told me, he's like, no, he goes, they apply through the finance through the bank. They get approved. The bank pays me directly. I get paid right off the bat. He said, job's done, I'm paid. He goes, but they're responsible for those payments. It's like taking out a car loan. I was like, really? I go, that's pretty genius. He goes, yeah. He goes, it's awesome. He goes, and the bank doesn't even charge us much to do it because they're getting the business.
Yeah. Now imagine landscapers start doing that. You ain't gonna have to worry about arguing for your $2,500 mulch, huge mulch install. Your agent, not gonna be no arguing. It's a matter of time for people start really implementing that. But what do you think about like coaching and mentor? There's a lot of these fake bullshit gurus out there. I'm not really talking about that, but like for the newer guys who are in business and people who don't have a lot of like a business background or like even struggle with confidence. What do you think about coaching and mentors? You think it's like a big benefit, or you just gotta like fucking fall on your face and you gotta, I don't know. There's no easy answer. I understand that. Where do you think?
I think it comes down to the person, the situation. I get people all the time that will send me messages and be like, "What do you think about this?" Or "Could you give me a pointer on this?" And if I have the time, I'll sit there and shoot the shit with them. And it's funny because a lot of them, I've heard this so many times. They're like, a lot of the other bigger channels, and I still don't see that. So people call me that all the time. They call me a bigger channel, and I just don't see it. I never have. Like the bigger channels, I mean, I see like Brian Fullerton. I think him and Stan Genetic are two of the biggest. I don't watch Stan. Not a fan of Stan. I probably never will be. Brian Fullerton, I like him. He's a good dude. But when I think of bigger channel right off the bat, I think Brian Shane. He's always been one of the biggest channels for me, and I know there are people that have more subs than him, but Brian Shane is in a whole different realm than all these other channels that are bigger. He's a whole different person. I know him personally. We stay in the same house for GIE. Like he's very, very good personal friend of mine. So he's different. So like I think of that when they say bigger channel, think of me. But the point is people said to me, I've contacted some of these other bigger channels and they never answer back, and I'm like, listen, you and I put our pants on the same way. If you have 100 subs and I have 15,000 subs, that don't make me any better than you or you better than me. We put our pants on the same way in the morning. You know what I mean? It's that simple, and that's just the way I've been raised, and that's just how I am. So I'm always eager, but if I don't have the time, I will at least almost always respond to them right away, and if not right away, within an hour, I'll send them a link to a video that I made that has the answer they're looking for. I'm always eager, and I've said that in so many videos. I said my main thing with YouTube is entertainment. We have fun doing it, but I always want to help people. I think that if you're getting into lawn care nowadays, or you're just your first season bagging leaves and you don't know what the hell you're going to do with these customers with all these leaves, I think if there's any aspect of the lawn care industry, there is between all the different forums on Facebook and all the different lawn care channels and all the different videos by all these channels, if you can't find the answer you're looking for, you're not trying hard enough. There's more information and video proof and just blogs, vlogs, whatever. There's more info out there than there has ever been. And the market is so saturated. You should be able to find answers to everything. When I started, like I said, there was Greg, there was a couple guys, and nobody really made that much on how to do this, or, and if anything, it was like how to mow stripes. Or how to mulch up leaves without a bagger or something. Nothing was about running the business or anything. So, when I have the time, and I've talked to Brian about this a couple times, I told him, like, during the winter when we're slow, I'm like, we should just start like a weekly vlog or whatever. We'll do like a live where it's the two of us on there, and people can message us to like just ask anything they want. And instead of like you and me interviewing each other or being on there talking, it'll just be nothing but questions that'll come up, and they'll say, this is for Randy, or this is for Brian, or this is for both of you. Here's my situation. What would you do? And we'll have like a 1 hour or 2 hour video. We'll do it one day a week, and people can ask anything they want. And it won't be anything about us. It'll just be about them and anybody that comments, what do you want to know? And just do it like to help people out.
Yeah, that's kind of like a podcast right there that you guys can, because there's a lot of like simple, I don't know where it went. I lost it. Sorry about that. But there's like a lot of simple channels out there. That's what I want to catch myself from being like, I want to be able to help people when we talk about like coaching and different things, like from me documenting my little journey. Cause like you said before, everybody's got their own voice. Everybody's got their own story, and everybody learns at different rates, different ways. I might be able to show something that you've never done, or just on dumb luck, stumble upon something that can help people. That's why, I love the information that's out there that can truly really help. Like people, you can really help people out there today. Like, and it's just amazing. I'd like to get in touch with Brian Shea. I wanted to go out and do a podcast with him earlier in the spring before they were shutting down airlines. I was going to go see Ben and KH, and I don't know. So I'm gonna have to get back get back in touch with him. I loved his videos. I ain't got to see much of him I haven't watched any videos in a long time. It seems like.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm so behind. There's so many that I haven't watched of channels I normally follow, and but that's the thing. There are a lot of channels out there saying, I just want to help people out. There's not nearly as many anymore because I think that was the niche. That was the cliche, so to speak. Everybody thought that, that's the thing. That's what all the bigger channels are doing. They just keep saying they just want to help people out and this and that. So that's all we got to say on our channel, and people subscribe to us too, and they'll come and look for info. And then a lot of these channels weren't really helping anybody out. It was more of a look at me kind of channel.
I like
This is what I have, or this is what you should buy, this or that. And then there's those of us that have like seriously gone out of our way to help people. And I can't tell you how many videos I started out and said, somebody asked for a video on this, and this may seem stupid or monotonous to some of you, or just very amateur, very low key. And if that's the case, then you might want to click off this video now. But for those of you who want to know, here it is. And it's always the weirdest videos. It'll be the video that will blow up for you will be the one that you never thought would. Like, I think I have a video that's around 100,000 views. It grows every single fall. Every fall and every beginning of winter, this video gets 1,000 views right off the bat. And all it is like a quick little 5-minute video on what each one of the solenoids do on a Myers E47.
I just watched, well, not just, I remember I watched that not too long because I have the E40. That's the same setup I have, and I was like, how do I drain the like, what do these solenoids do? Like, how does all this work? And yeah, I've watched that.
And it's because I ran into problems like 2 a.m, and my plow got stuck, and it would go up, down, and left, and it wouldn't go right. And I couldn't for the life of me, and it wouldn't go right. And I was doing a parking lot where everything had to be windrolled to the right, of course. Right. And it was like 2 a.m, and I was scanning for everything I could. And I found one tiny little picture diagram that some guy uploaded somewhere on the internet, and it popped up on there, and it had an arrow, and it pointed to each one what it did. And I'm like, okay, that's the one I need to change then. Because I had spares, because when I bought the truck off a guy and the plow was with it, he gave me spare solenoids. And he said, here, you're going to need these eventually if you run this thing for any length of time. And I ran, I think, for a full season. It was fine. It was the beginning of the next season when that happened. Yeah. And so I got it home. I ran that sucker up on the snowbank, and I brought the chain up higher, and I backed off the snowbank so it would stay up there. That's what it was. It wouldn't go right, and it would go down, but it wouldn't come back up. So it wouldn't go right, and it wouldn't come up. So that's what I did, and I got it back home, and I found that picture, and I changed it out, and I was right back out plowing. But I was like, there needs to be a freaking video on this. That's exactly what I did. I made that video, and like I said, I made that video years ago. I haven't had that plow in years. And ever since then, every single year, I'll see a comment pop up, and it'll say, thank you for making this. You just saved my ass, this and that. I'm like, what video is that? And I look like, oh my God, people are still watching that? And every fall and every beginning of winter, that video pops up again, starts getting more and more views.
All right, and as we come kind of to the end of it, I seen your, when I was going back to your old videos, real quick, are you still got the old 1947 or 1964 tractor, all them old tractors you restored? You still doing that?
Yep, I still have them. I haven't messed with any of them in a long time, but I still have them. I move them around now when they get in my way.
Yeah, they look really good. And for anybody out there that like thinks that you just got to have a brand new Wright ZK to start out with and all this fancy glitz and glamour, like I was looking at the John Deere riding tractor bagger that you had, a couple walk behinds, and you can
belt drive too. My first walk behind was a Skag belt drive.
You don't have to have all the fancy glitz and all the fancy stuff that you think you have to have. And real quick, when we hang up, I want, if you want to share it, a couple of your most painful moments, a couple of your most successful moments, and a time to maybe that you felt unstoppable, that like you knew this is my calling.
Well, I'll tell you, as far as the most painful was those couple times when I'd say the most painful, and it wasn't even painful, as it didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me monetarily right off the bat. It was a little while after, and I've made videos on this, and it was about I was willing to do anything I could when I first started off to get customers, like anybody does. And there are some things you can do that are free or next to free that'll really help you out. But I made the mistake of going around and putting flyers that I printed out on my computer, my printer at home. I made these flyers, and they were just plain Jane looking. They looked very amateur. And I drove up and down these streets at night, and I stuck them in mailboxes, in between the flag and the mailbox. And I didn't know. Like I said, the information wasn't out there. And I've said this in a bunch of videos, so people should already know this. And I've made videos specifically on marketing, and I've like hit this point very hard. It is freaking illegal. Don't do it. Don't be that cheap ass and do it. It's very illegal. Here's the part where it hurt me, and it hurt me. It hurt my pride. I felt like an idiot. I felt like that freaking big. I just felt like the biggest piece of crap. Is a sheriff and the postmaster came to my door, and they had a stack of them in their hand. And they said, listen, people called in. You cannot do this. We can fine you per flyer and then give you an overall fine. And it was something like $500 per flyer or something is what they could fine me if they wanted to. And they said, we're guessing you didn't know. Don't do it again. And it was because one person called in on me. And I said, okay, that's fine. That's not where the pain came in. The pain came in the following summer when this guy called me up. And that summer, it was that spring when I got that award from the Business Association. It was the next year. The guy called me up because he saw that thing. And I went up and I gave him an estimate on his lawn. And I got there. He said, you know what? I saw your flyer last year. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He goes, and I knew right away I wasn't going to hire you. I didn't care how good you were. I wasn't going to hire you. And I said, well, you mind if I ask why? I said, before I go any further, I just want you to know that I did not know that was illegal to do, if that's what you're about to say. I said, I found out afterwards. He said, no. He goes, I saw what you did, and I knew you were a new company starting off, but I figured if you went that cheap and you skipped corners and went that route, what else would you skip corners on, and how would you treat my lawn? I had no answer for him. What was I going to say? He was 100% right. No matter how bad I didn't want to see it, no matter how much I did not want to admit to it, he was 100% right. I felt that big. I felt like that guy could say, I want you to mow my lawn for $3 a week. You're going to do it. I'm going to pay you at the end of the summer. And I felt like I would have done it because I just felt like this guy had me. Yeah. And there was nothing I could do. It crushed my pride. It beat me down, and it was like a real, hearing that from that guy just killed me. And I have friends that still do it to this day. They put out flyers. I'm like, don't freaking do that. Like, it drives me crazy because I know whether they get in trouble legally or not, I know what people think when they see that. And I'm like, you have no idea the long-term effects this is going to have on you. That guy would have hired me last year. I still have him to this day, by the way. One of the best customers I've ever had. The guy throws money at me like it's water. He don't care what anything costs. Just do it, Randy. I don't care. Just do it. Just bill me. Just charge the card that's on file. I don't care, Randy. Right. You know, coolest guy. But I almost never had a shot with this guy. If he hadn't seen it the following year with the award I got, he would have probably never called me. But so that was probably the most painful experience I've ever had in lawn care. And probably the best one was at one point, and this was about 2 years ago. It's since gone down. I had a waiting list. That's when I thought I was king shit. And I only did for a short period of time, and I had to back myself off and remind myself. But I had a waiting list because people would come out and they'd say, can you give me a price on mowing my lawn? And I've said to a few of them, I'm like, you have a lawn service. I've seen them over there mowing. And they say, yeah, but my lawn doesn't look like that lawn. And it'd be one that I was mowing. I tell them, like, listen, I'm jam-packed, and I just don't have room right now. And at one time I had 31 people, was the highest I had, 31 people on my waiting list. And they told me, we don't care when it is. It could be the middle of summer. If you get an opening, we'll drop the guy we have now and take you on.
That's awesome.
And I thought I was king shit, man. And I'm like, nothing can stop me. I can take over every company around here. Like, I thought I was the king of the world, man. And I had to quickly put myself in check, so to speak. I'm like, slow it down there, Turbo, slow it down. And you could lose it all in one day if you make the wrong move. But like I said, I do what I say I'm going to do. I'm there when I say, even if I get done mowing at the end of the day and I'm like, I told that lady to come back and trim them hedges today. I'm like, God, I don't want to freaking do this right now. I'm so exhausted. And I get in my truck and I drive my ass over there and I do it anyway. And I do it with a damn smile because I told them I would. And I'm huge on that. So between those things and, the attention to detail, like the edging of sidewalks and driveways that nobody seems to do, between that stuff, it's just all worked for me. I haven't done anything that nobody else could do.
That's the small details goes a long way. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. We've had a long conversation, coming up about 2 hours probably. I'm glad you made it work. I definitely appreciate it. We'll let Mike Gunn bring us out, and we'll see you guys. Hey, hit the go to Countryside Vlogs and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. And I'm sure you'll be starting a podcast before too long.
Thanks, brother. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. Later, guys. All right.